Speaking of, local candidates and their platforms, April 1st, the Memorial Park encampment was cleared.
It was, and it's definitely not an easy story for me to cover, because you have people's lives here and you have social issues, and it's very layered and complex. So April 1st was the deadline they've given, and so how has that gone? Have they kept their word, or? Well,
it seems that they have. And the last few people that were in the Memorial Park encampment, they posted notices. They said this is going to happen. Any belongings you leave in the park will be taken, disposed of. So they were well aware that it was coming. Now, we were unscrupulous that it would happen, but they followed through with it. It was not an April Fool's joke. And so Friday morning, they put up steel fences. They removed a lot of the debris. And actually, this was in accordance to, if you remember, Iain De Jong, the Greater Sudbury Encampment Response Guide was produced. So on March 15th, those in the park were told that the park would be closed April 1st, and that at noon, which is, I guess, when April Fool's Day ends. So they should have been aware that this was not a joke. They would say all their belongings would be disposed of, and beyond that, the city's municipal law enforcement officers would enforce their removal. But it doesn't seem like there were any active confrontations. It seems like it went relatively smoothly.
Yeah, I think they fenced it.
That's right.
They fenced the whole thing, and pictures I saw on Sudbury Star's website, if you want to check out some of the pictures, shows people disassembling the tents and some of their belongings, and what they had that bobcat in one of the pictures going through.
Yep, there is a lot of debris, of belongings. One of the members of the encampment said that he packed up all of his items. He got out of the park before noon, but he planned to head off to another area near Notre Dame to set up his tent again.
Oh, really? So some people are choosing to just find other locations, right? Obviously.
Yeah, I don't really know what they were expecting.
Somewhere.
I don't know, what people were expecting, but that was always going to happen. At least this one person that Sudbury.com interviewed, he said the outreach park, he met with outreach workers because originally he was forced to leave his apartment. He said that it was uninhabitable, and the tent seemed like a better, safer, and healthier place for him.
Wow.
Than his apartment. So, I mean, that's a pretty interesting,
very interesting
position.
Yes.
So he packed up all his possessions and he moved in to the park, and he's been living there ever since. So, he says he's just going to move some of his belongings over to Notre Dame Avenue and set up camp there.
So the park was better conditions in his view than the apartment that he was renting.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what? How can you argue that if you don't really, you don't have the evidence that supports it? I think it's possible. I've seen some apartments.
Definitely
in the
possible.
City
and rents have gone up. I've heard that a lot.
You're right. Yes.
That rents going up could cause a lot of homelessness. The great thing is about an issue like homelessness is that it's very visible, and that we have paid professionals to help with the issue. So outreach workers, like you said, are ready. They want to help. They want to come up with solutions.
And that's what we would have seen in some of these pictures, right?
Exactly.
Some of the outreach workers working along with other designated people, somehow designated by the city to disperse the people. And there was no reports of violence or anybody putting up a fight, as far as we know.
Yeah, and that's good news. That's good news. There were a couple volunteers on site as well. Ali Farouk was on site with the Go Give project. So volunteers and outreach workers were there to help actually pack up items, ensure that members of the encampment had everything that they needed. And Ali said that off-the-street shelter has been extremely under-occupied. There's still 35 beds at the shelter, and 20 are available each night.
Interesting.
So just the 14 that were living in the encampment, there's still room in that overnight shelter, which will probably become less important as the weather warms up.
I think so.
Historically, we've seen that usually the summer is when, lasting all winter in an encampment like this is pretty abnormal.